You know, when thinking about Alien 2 on Earth, got me to thinking, what are other people saying about this film? So, I took a little John over to IMDb, and I took a note. Boy, am I disappointed. On Earth, everyone can hear you yawn. Atrocious. Grade Z crap. The first hour is so painfully slow that it took me over 10 years to finish it. The ending was a bit of a letdown. Incoherent, dumb, cheesy, and amateurish. Ridiculous, boring story. I cannot imagine a worse fate other than perhaps a cinematic screening of this film. Ouch. Oh, and the best for last. A piece of trash, Italian style. Yeah.
BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, and I am your Wednesday night review for BodyBags. And tonight, I bring you Alien 2 on Earth from 1980, not only directed, but written and co-produced by one Ciro Ippolito, if that's how you say it. It is a pseudo sequel, follow-up to the 1979 classic Alien, but only in name, really. But I'm going to speak to that in a second. It is, again, 1980, and it stars, here's a few people: Belinda, Mayne, Mark Bodin, Roberto, Barrese, Benedetta, Fantoli, and of course my own personal favorite, Michele, Soavi. Of course, we all know him and love him in Italian cinema. He will go on and direct probably my favorite slasher of all time, hands down. I do believe it is it. And that, of course, is from 1987, Stage Fright. And he probably carries, I'd say, as far as the actors go in this, he probably carries this film more than the others. I think that's my personal thing. Okay, let's get into this. It's from the '88 release. Here it is. Hopefully there's no glare or anything. But Alien 2. Quick. Really, it's a pretty simple synopsis. The plot basically is this: we've got some astronauts been up in space, and courtesy of some good stock footage, we get to see at the very beginning, as Earth is expecting the astronauts to come back, and but when they land, they're nowhere to be found. But all of a sudden, along the coastline of California, we start seeing these blue, weird rocks start appearing. Now you've got your cast of characters are cave explorers. They go spelunking. There's a lot of probably fancy terminology I'm really not that aware of, but one in particular, Thelma, who also has this sort of psychic connection to, or at least enough to give her a bit of a foreshadowing of really bad things to come. And this is really kind of an apocalyptic film in a way. But we first meet Thelma at the beginning, and she's giving somewhat of a news thing, sort of like a documentary on cave exploring. And right in the middle of her little thing, she has kind of like a vision or something. I mean, she goes into this thing, and so they have to cut things, and soon enough, she's out catching up with her friends. They've already got plans for going on this, or continuing a major cave exploration they had started. And so as they're making their way out there to the cave site, you sort of follow them out there, and along the way they stop at a particular spot so they could get changed into their cave gear. And one of the characters, I can't remember, maybe I can't remember, it was Michele's character, Bert maybe. Bert might be the one who sees one of these little blue rocks and decides it's a good idea to bring it along. It's not a good idea. Basically, the rest of the film is they go down into the cave and you find out that these blue rocks they act as a host for this alien parasite that has one intention and one intention only, and that is to wipe out civilization. It's just what they do. So most of the entire film is down in the cave network. By the end of the film, once they come back out of the cave system, or those who do come out, what they're going to find is the aftermath, really, of a depopulated civilization. Now, this people have said a lot of things about this movie. I mean, probably the one word you hear more than anything is cheesy, and the plot's incoherent, doesn't make any sense, but the effects are horrible, and I really take issue with almost all of it, because here is an attempt, and not only, I think the idea here at the beginning was, and it's sort of embedded in the first Alien film, is if this is where the idea comes from, and this notion that what if the derelict craft from Alien actually dropped its payload, what would happen? And and this film almost seems to take that notion and run with it, this idea that, well, what would happen? Okay, you're dealing with, it's a low-budget film, you don't have a lot of resources, you don't have a lot of money, so what do? If you want to take such a grand idea and really put it on film, one of the things you do is you go to the Castellina, I think, Castellina caves down in Italy. They were discovered in, I think, 1938. At least 8 movies, I think, have been filmed, and much of what we get inside the cave is not backlot or anything like that, or sets. This is shot on location deep in these cave networks, and the actual opening to the main cave that they will go into is actually known as the grave or the abyss, because it's like a 70-kilometer drop or something crazy like that. And so for a lot of the movie, you're down in these caves with them, and quite frankly, I think it's pretty extraordinary what they were able to through cinematography and whatnot, what they were able to shoot, considering the risks I'm sure there would have been there for the actors, and just the rappelling and just everything. It's really quite a sight to actually see. But so that's what you do, and the effects are limited to a degree because of the amount, the lack of money. So what do you do with an idea like this? You take your group of characters and you remove them from civilization for a bit, and you basically show us in small what's happening large. And by the time who's left comes up out of the caves, what you've really experienced with them is pretty much what everyone's experienced on the surface. And so there's this great shot at the end where, in fact, because of the money again, you could tell that they arrived at this place, the area where they were going to shoot this scene, early in the morning to try their best not to get any cars or anything else. What they wanted was this absolutely apocalyptic, empty feeling. And I think they got it. And so what you really have here is a very simple story of something really grand, but done quite ingeniously in terms of showing us basically in small what's happening in large on the rest of the planet, say. And you're not really given a lot in terms of the nature of this entity, where it's from, what it's doing. It really is a pretty simple premise, but exercised in a way, I think, that is pretty compelling. It's one of those movies that if you just allow your imagination to run out ahead of things, it really is pretty scary when you really think about it. But too often we get caught up, or others get too caught up with all of the, the incoherency. It's just people get too. It's it's really hard to please people. But this movie, man, I enjoy it every time I watch it. I enjoy it more. Now on this '88 film release, Eli Roth has got an incredible short piece on there in which he just extols Cyrus's work, and not only that, but the DeAngelis brothers who do the music, which is also great. And that little piece that he does is just outstanding. So I would say, in spite of what you might have heard, it is, call it an Alien ripoff, call it whatever you want to call it. In the end, I think it was a pretty clever idea, executed pretty well considering what they were up against. And in the end, as long as you allow your imagination to do some of the work for you, I don't know how you're not satisfied with this, actually. And quite frankly, the stock footage used in the beginning to show the astronauts, the NASA footage, things coming down. Yeah, I mean, it has kind of a rough, look, but I mean, you do what you got to do to create a film. And I think what they did is they took an idea from Ridley Scott and they expanded on the idea in a very simple way, but in a way, I think that is pretty scary. So, that's my rant on Alien 2 on Earth from 1980. And, rating, I don't know. I just enjoy it and it grows on me. And I think I just want to say is, bypass all the crap and just watch it and just consider the grander thing that is going on. And so, anyways, Ciro, Ippolito, 1980, Alien 2. Again, I'm Rob from Georgia. I am your Wednesday host for BodyBags. Tune in to everything else that's going on BodyBags. Theme week is coming, and so be in tune for that as well. And as always, well, before I say it, man, the Bills have done pretty good on this free agency thing. But anyways, as always, go